That stretch of State Road 31 over the Caloosahatchee River, along with that bridge, closed tonight after a natural gas leak started up this morning. Thank you for watching Fox 4 News at 10. I'm Chris Earl.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. Not only a gas leak, but a major water main break. This is a live look right now. Crews working nonstop. We are now told it could be up to 3 days before this is fixed, meaning that section from Palm Beach Boulevard to Bayshore Road will stay shut down. And tonight, we're not only hearing from fire crews who responded this morning, but from FDOT on the project the contractors were working on to begin with. Starting in the early morning hours, 2:30 a.m. and all day long, this was the site off State Road 31 near the intersection of Palm Beach Boulevard. Liquid spewing after contractors working in the area hit a gas and water line.
Upon arrival, our crews found contractors working on scene who were doing a drilling project. Come to find out, they were drilling down approximately 14 feet down and hit an 8-inch natural gas line that's owned by TECO.
Crews say that gas line is a main feeder line all the way down to Collier County, leaking for several hours, shutting down State Road 31, including the bridge to Bayshore. And Lee County Sheriff's Office says this could close down busy traffic in both directions for up to 3 days.
We're hoping to have that open sooner than later, but after talking to the TECO gentleman, it could be up to 48 hours until these repairs are complete.
FDOT says contractors were collecting soil samples for a future project when they accidentally hit that line. Fox 4 reaching out to 5 different agencies for the name of that company hired by the state. We are still waiting to hear back. But we are learning more about that future project they were working on.
To address traffic growth, FDOT is proposing to widen the existing roadway.
Seen in this video presented in a public meeting earlier this year, widening 1.4 miles of State Road 31. It also includes replacing the Wilson Piggott Bridge, also known as the 31 Bridge.
This option would have 3 11-foot lanes in each direction.
All to help address capacity and traffic demand in that area, FDOT says, which shows just how many people will be impacted by this closure over the next few days.
Safety is our #1 concern for our residents and passer-throughs, so we're taking this a high abundance of caution.
So again, those contractors were just testing the soil for the future of this project, all to relieve congestion in that area. So we do know this is going to impact a lot of people over the next couple of days.
Especially that stretch between Babcock Ranch and Fort Myers Shores, just on that one road. Have to go a few miles over. So bringing Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls, taking a look at the overall with this, because there will be a real impact.
Exactly, especially for that morning commute. Thankfully, we didn't have much in the way of wet weather this afternoon, as folks had to basically navigate around this stretch of 31 right here in Fort Myers, near Fort Myers Shores that was shut down. So here's Bayshore, and this is Palm Beach Boulevard. So you have 78 to 80. This is the one pathway across the Caloosahatchee River, basically allowing you to avoid I-75. Well, now you have no choice but to head to I-75 to go north or southbound, depending upon your preference, just to get through this particular area. So that's going to be the hiccup and the concern as we head into tomorrow and potentially the next several days. On live radar, conditions overall nice and quiet. A couple of little sprinkles out there. One right here over this part of Lehigh, right along 82, heading up toward parts of Alabama Road. But otherwise, as we broaden out that view, you'll see a couple of rain showers just offshore. More of those rain showers developing as we head toward daybreak. And I'm expecting a fair amount of us to be affected during that morning commute. So it's going to be a little bit of a switch up in terms of time frames tomorrow. I'll have that for you coming up in the next 10 minutes.
Thank you, Katie. This developing in Collier County. Deputies say more than a year after finding remains in a wooded area in East Naples behind Myrtle Lane, they're finally identified as remains of 47-year-old Sean Morgan. Investigators say now they're considering his death a homicide. Morgan's family said the last time they spoke with him was in September of 2021, just before his birthday. But then deputies say in March of last year, 2 men discovered the remains, which investigators say were likely there for months. The man's family said that they requested a welfare check after the hurricane in September of 2022, but he was never found. Now confirmed more than a year after the discovery, those remains again belonging to that man. And also no arrests made in that case. Detectives asking for the public's help to find his killer. So if you do know anything, reach out to the Collier County Sheriff's Office.
Fort Myers police are still looking for a carjacking suspect tonight after they say a man robbed someone at gunpoint and then took off with that victim's car. They say this happened last Thursday morning at the Circle K located on Veronica Shoemaker Boulevard and Winkler Avenue. And now they're hoping this newly released video of that suspected carjacker will lead to an arrest. In the footage, you can see the suspect dressed in an Adidas outfit and wearing a mask on his face. Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers believes this was a planned attack.
You know, clearly this was a planned out thing. The suspect in this case was clearly skulking around the parking lot.
Yeah, and right there you saw him holding that gun. Police say the suspect later dumped that car that he stole nearby. They believe he lives in the area, so if you know anything, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers.
The Florida Highway Patrol says an 18-year-old is now in custody for vehicular homicide while driving under the influence from 3 months ago. A crash in March in Punta Gorda right here at US 41 and Notre Dame Boulevard. As investigators say, Cone Wells was driving at this intersection when another car was turning onto the highway, and that driver crashed into the other car, killing the other driver, who was 59.
Well, tonight we are learning more about just how many people are homeless in Lee County. The Lee County Homeless Coalition releasing its point-in-time snapshot. Now, this does show right now there are at least 820 people experiencing homelessness in Lee County. 109 of them are children under 18. 86 are veterans. The numbers have soared since 2021 when there were just 394 homeless, and 2022 when there were 560. The organization says there are many factors to this rise, including the affordable housing crisis here in Southwest Florida, soaring rents, and of course, the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. This comes as just yesterday, Lee County commissioners approved 2 different housing initiatives to help people impacted by the hurricane. One will use more than $16 million in state disaster funding for affordable housing and will elevate low-income homes located in those flood zones. The county then also approved more than $8 million in funding for nonprofit housing development organizations. That is estimated to help 133 homeowners impacted by the hurricane with some sort of down payment assistance or reconstruction.
A proposed change in Naples could also cut down on the amount of outdoor dining you might see along busy 5th Avenue South. The city of Naples is looking to expand the amount of required sidewalk space there from 5 feet to 8 feet. That would mean businesses would have to yield on 3 feet of outdoor seating. City council members say it would impact the 15 businesses there that do have outdoor seating permits. It's also a part of the dining that some people that talked with Fox 4 today said they do not want to lose.
You want to be outside, enjoy the sun, enjoy the weather, and be with your family and be surrounded by everything you can look at.
When, we come to visit, obviously it's kind of cool, to sit outside and enjoy 90-degree weather.
The city council will take another look at these proposed changes at a second public hearing set for June 21st.
Well, tonight we now know what the Naples Pier will look like once it is rebuilt. City Council said today they will stick with the classic look of the pier, not after Hurricane Ian devastated it, but the classic look where it keeps the concessions in the midpoint part of the pier. Now, the decision to go with option 1, as you see here, will keep the restrooms and showers at the same location on land just before the start of that pier. Now, the length of the pier will not change, but engineers say they will raise the pier an additional 3 feet to make it more resilient against future storms. The city says other design factors, like where fishing will be allowed and where seating will be placed, will be decided at later meetings. The fishing part, pretty important for the city of Naples.
The city of Punta Gorda is looking to ban vaping at several parks. This will include Gilchrist Park, the Ponce de Leon Playgrounds, the Lashley Park Splash Pad, and the Cooper Street Rec Center. The group Drug Free Punta Gorda says the new rule would be modeled after a similar ordinance in Charlotte County. It's also something that people at Fox 4 spoke with today said they are on board with.
I certainly wouldn't want him at 5 years old to see someone vaping and then be curious about, this candy-flavored smell.
The next step to get a vaping ban in place is another public hearing, then the city council would vote on it.
Well, the city of Punta Gorda is hoping to get more money to help rebuild damaged seawalls after Ian. You're seeing them right here. The city council proposed a resolution today seeking reimbursement through bonds for $60,000 worth of repairs to canals throughout the city. This as FEMA inspections are underway here. They will be there for the next 3 weeks. So the city is giving a heads up that you might see inspectors walking along your property to check out the seawalls.
All right, open your eyes right now. Take a look at some of this video taken by one of our Fox 4 viewers here, Rose Tom, today. A very friendly manatee coming on over in the water to greet her while she was out there. This captured in Cape Corals. And there you go, big guy. Thanks for coming on over here.
Yeah, we love seeing our local wildlife, and always share your videos with us if you happen to come across them as well. Well, coming up, Southwest Florida's first academy for adults with disabilities is celebrating their first cohort of graduates.
And we'll also meet one of those students and learn about the challenges that she has pushed through to reach this point today.
And Florida is finding more ways to become more resilient for the next storm. What these concrete pyramids can do for our shorelines coming up, Katie.
And overnight tonight, as we head toward daybreak, basically after 4 a.m., shower and storm chances actually going up. Scattered storms expected to affect us for the first half of tomorrow. We'll talk more about this switch up with the weather pattern next.
As the school year ends across Southwest Florida, graduation also means opening the door to new opportunities, including for students at Florida Gulf Coast University's First Academy for Adults with Disabilities.
Fox 4's Shari Armstrong spoke with one of these students about the challenges she overcame before walking that graduation stage.
It took a moment for Tasha Ailarant to process.
Yo, this is actually happening.
But when it finally settled in,
yeah, we got this.
They are the first students in Florida Gulf Coast University's RISE program. FGCU says it's the first academy for adults with intellectual disabilities throughout Southwest Florida.
I was diagnosed with a learning disability at the age of 12.
Before the big day, this Immokalee High School graduate shared her story with me.
I lost my dad at the age of 2 due to gun violence. And then right after that, my mom, she passes away from kidney failure. And the only person that actually believed in me was my mom.
Tremendous loss and bullying about her disability fueled a desire to end her life.
I was just tired of the pain and everyone telling me that I would never add up to be anything or that I would never make it to college because I have a disability.
Support from teachers helped Taja, and her pain turned into a desire to advocate for people just like her.
I always tell people, I'm like, people with disabilities just want to be treated like anybody else.
That mindset drove her to apply to college and to get a job as a residence assistant, overseeing freshmen at the university, a responsibility that's redefining.
Because people with disabilities, they don't get the opportunity to have a leadership role.
A notion Taja hopes to change.
That's the person that I am. I'm going to find a way to get my way.
And that's how she found her way here, in front of the proud grandma who helped raise her.
I am so proud of you.
And with a vision to continue her education and to become a public speaker.
What would you say to your mom in this moment?
We did it. We did it. We made it, even though it was hard. There was many times where I wanted to give up and just call quits. We made it. We pushed through. Never allowed nothing to stop me. But yeah, we did it.
In Estero, Shari Armstrong, Fox 4.
The Florida DOT is using new technology throughout the Tampa Bay area to try to help limit beach erosion. And the technical name is Wave Attenuation Device. But to most, they look like really big concrete pyramids. Take a look at those. But over the next few days, FDOT is going to drop about 1,000 of these into the water near the Sunshine Skyway Bridge at St. Petersburg. Some of the pyramids are more than 10 feet tall. They weigh about 13,000 pounds each. But they can deflect wave energy and create a natural barrier reef, giving a place for marine life to flourish and also to protect the shorelines.
Certainly, having witnessed firsthand the devastation from Hurricane Ian down south, we know that this project is going to do wonders for this area in terms of protecting and the shoreline and really making this area resilient to future storm events.
FDOT says it welcomes anglers to park boats near the pyramids and eventually, as it should be a great spot for snorkeling as well.
Well, health alert from the Department of Health in Lee County tonight. They say they are tracking a blue-green algae bloom in the Caloosahatchee River. This by the Davis boat ramp right at Fort Myers Shore. So they say as a precaution, you should not drink or swim in this water and you should keep your pets away. It's so interesting when we talk about blue-green algae in this time of year. A lot of our local governments have put in fertilizer bans and now watering schedules, not just because we have so much rain, but all that rain then pushes that fertilizer into our waterways.
That's right. And in this case, some of that actually coming in from the lake. So we have that starting upstream and slowly working its way down. So, and you made some great points there. It's not safe to drink and make sure your dogs stay out of it. Those are kind of the big takeaways there, but it's not toxic like red tide, for example, but certainly something that we're going to be monitoring throughout the summer. Unfortunately, it's always a problem here. It's just a matter of, like Nadine said, how much rainfall we see and what kind of fertilizers could potentially exacerbate it. So as we look ahead to tomorrow, the best probability of that rainfall, that's going to mainly be in the morning hours, a little bit of a swap up there. And then Friday, Saturday, we'll back down those rain chances a bit to 30%. And then just a 20% rain chance for your Sunday heading into Monday. Let's take a live look outside right now. Overall conditions are fairly quiet here in Cape Coral as we look down Pine Island Road from atop the Fox 4 studios. Just a couple of showers lingering offshore. But overall today, those showers were pretty isolated, especially this afternoon. This morning, a bit more active for Collier County as we expected. But right here for Gasparilla, Boca Grande, starting to see some of those downpours pushing on shore. So it's really going to be the Cape Hayes Peninsula under the gun here over the course of the next hour or so, provided that cell holds itself together, making its way toward Placida, Rotunda West. Just a heads up as that cell moves on shore. And that's really the only spot. Live look from the Luminary Hotel across the Caloosahatchee River. Partly to mostly cloudy skies right now. Temperatures, though, they are muggy. 81 degrees, dew point. The measure of moisture in the air in the lower 70s. And that's causing it to, even at this hour, feel 5 degrees hotter. And it's 10:20. feeling more like 86 degrees. Winds, however, are on the calm side. Things are going to be quiet here for the next couple of hours. Then we'll start to see those showers and storms build in from the Gulf of Mexico. Right here at 4 o'clock, that's when those downpours will begin to initialize across southwest Florida. So rain heavy at times, some areas of lightning, some thunderstorms that could cause slowdowns for that morning commute. So heads up through the morning drive, activity will be fairly widespread. Meteorologist Trent Eric will be tracking that for you every step of the way on Fox 4 Morning News starting at 6 a.m. But by 12 o'clock, most of the activity farther inland. We'll still have a couple of showers and storms in the mix right here at 3 o'clock, but notice more of the coastline a bit drier. So again, a bit of a change up where we'll see most of the activity during the first half of the day. Then we look ahead to your Friday, and Friday things overall pretty quiet, and heading into the afternoon, notice those showers, those storms, fairly isolated. So that's why we're pulling back those rain chances a bit for your Friday afternoon and evening. So for tonight, thunderstorms developing late as we head closer to daybreak. So right around 4 a.m. that's when those storms will begin to develop, continuing through that morning drive. Otherwise, for tomorrow afternoon, not as much action on radar expected, but that 90-degree high, that's going to be feeling more like 95 because of that humidity. That's going to be the case here the next couple of days with those high dew points. And over the weekend, just a 30% rain chance on Saturday, dropping it down to 20% Sunday, heading into Monday.
Those wildfires in Canada stretching from the western provinces all the way to Quebec, far-reaching impact. Many parts of the U.S. woke up to a yellow haze, smoke from Canada drifting into the nation now. What states are also handling the worst air quality right now? That's ahead.
Well, hundreds of wildfires are raging in Canada now, but the effects of that thick smoke is being felt right here in the U.S. Many parts of New York State, even Philadelphia we saw earlier, covered in a yellow haze.
As Clayton Sandell reports, some flights grounded, schools going indoors, millions in more than a dozen states now under air quality alerts.
The normally sparkling Big Apple skyline is now choked in a hazy brown, the sun a dull orange. The mayor telling New Yorkers to put the jogging shoes and bikes away to avoid the wildfire smoke.
This is an unprecedented event in our city, and New Yorkers must take precaution.
Travelers going in and out of some of the New York area's busiest airports had flights delayed by the low visibility. The Yankees and White Sox took to the field, breathing some of the worst air in the nation.
You can see the haze over the stadium. And
the smoke is coming from more than 100 out-of-control wildfires burning in Canada. Millions of acres from the western provinces to Quebec have burned over the last few weeks. And thousands of people are evacuated from entire towns.
This is incredibly difficult and heartbreaking.
The massive plumes of smoke seen from passing airplanes is now being carried into the central and eastern U.S., triggering air quality alerts across multiple states. Some schools in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia moved recess indoors.
So today is actually really an interesting day because it's the highest levels we've had in Columbus, Ohio in 10 years.
Officials say the smoke could linger for the next few days, but as firefighters continue doing battle, they warn blazes like these and the smoke that comes with them are not going away anytime soon.
Wildfires are growing, increasingly more common around the world due to increased temperatures and drought. We've seen this happen in Brazil, in Indonesia, in California, now in Canada. So this is something that we can continue to see possibly over the next few months.
Clayton Sandell, Scripps News, Denver.
Still ahead, we're finally hearing from Governor Ron DeSantis days after 2 Florida-funded migrant flights landed in California.
How he's defending the move as we learn more about the company in charge of these flights.
And the Southern Poverty Law Center placed Florida-based Moms for Liberty on their list of hate groups. Why they say the group's views are what they call extreme, and why some members say they're misunderstood. Governor Ron DeSantis finally addressing state-funded migrant flights to California.
If there's a policy to have an open border, then I think the sanctuary jurisdiction should be the ones that have to bear that.
What we're learning about the company used to take them there as Fox 4 News at 10 continues.
Live from Southwest Florida, this is Fox 4 News at 10.
And tonight, Governor Ron DeSantis breaks his silence on the latest Florida-funded migrant flights from Florida to California. It comes as the state is releasing video of the flights to Sacramento.
Investigative reporter Katie LeGrone looks at what he's saying now, plus new information about the Florida company linked to planning, arranging, and handling those journeys.
You're looking at video and pictures released late Tuesday afternoon by Florida's Division of Emergency Management. The images show some of the migrants who the state claims volunteered to be transported and, quote, wanted to go to California. We blurred the video because we don't know the circumstances that brought each person here, but some are seen waving, smiling, expressing thanks.
Thank you for my room.
After days of silence, Florida finally claimed responsibility for 2 private flights that since Friday have flown roughly 36 asylum-seeking migrants from New Mexico to Sacramento as part of Florida's controversial migrant relocation program.
If there's a policy to have an open border, then I think the sanctuary jurisdiction should be the ones that have to bear that.
During a law enforcement roundtable discussion on illegal immigration in Arizona Wednesday, the governor for the first time answered questions about the flights.
If a sheriff asks for our support in Texas, we view this as an American problem. We don't view it just as a Texas problem, and we think we're all in this together. We will send resources to help.
It's a silly, cruel, inhumane, disgusting political stunt. Not one of these migrants is from Florida.
The surprise landing sparked outrage among California politicians, including its attorney general, who's now investigating for potential civil or criminal wrongdoing. He says some migrants implied they may have been lured into signing consent forms through false promises of jobs. Lawyers for civil rights, a legal advocacy group suing the governor over last year's migrant flights to Martha's Vineyard, are also investigating Florida's voluntary claims.
We know that Florida officials said the same thing about the Martha's Vineyard flights, and that turned out to be completely false.
But Florida is pushing back. In its only email taking responsibility for the flights, an emergency management spokesperson wrote, "The relocation of those illegally crossing the United States border is not new. But suddenly, when Florida sends illegal aliens to a sanctuary city, it's false imprisonment and kidnapping." Adding, the group of migrants were accompanied by a contractor, which California's AG has described as Vertol Systems, the same Florida-based aviation group hired by the state last year to fly nearly 50 migrants from Texas to Martha's Vineyard. In this newly signed state contract for similar services, Vertol even cites its more than $1 million Martha's Vineyard operation as part of its listed experience. The contract, which ends in 2 years, lists Vertol's scope of work as planning, arranging, and executing all parts of transporting migrants to other parts of the U.S. But the only listed price tag, Stage 1 development phase, at a lump sum of $487,000. This session, Florida's GOP majority approved a total of $12 million to relocate migrants. Individuals, they say, who volunteer and consent before they go. I'm Katie LeGrone reporting.
And to follow up on that, DeSantis hosted a talk about this in Arizona, focusing on stopping illegal immigration, as he announced a plan to build a larger coalition to better secure the nation's borders. Florida's Attorney General joined DeSantis along with several sheriffs and police chiefs from border communities as they pointed to a lack of security along the border, along Arizona and California, for an increase in crime and fentanyl deaths in those areas, as well as blaming the White House for it.
Government's one and only responsibility is to protect its citizens. And the administration in Washington has forgotten that. In fact, I don't think they've forgotten it. I think they've ignored it.
Since deploying Florida resources to help along the U.S.-Mexico border, the governor's office does report that Florida teams have interacted with more than 5,800 migrants and have also helped with more than 190 arrests. St. Matthew's House says it helped to feed another 280 families today at the walk-up food distribution site in Immokalee. Some leaders say that many of them were migrant workers who do not have cars, making this walk-up format all the more critical.
The community in Immokalee
A lot of them, they're not documented. A lot of them they come from other countries, and they are not able to drive. They're not able to just get a driver license and drive around. And some do, and they're really afraid, especially in the times right now. They're afraid of getting deported. They're afraid to, getting their car taken away. So that's one of the reasons why.
Now, with many people served, this is a weekly occurrence. St. Matthew's House hosts the food events at the Immokalee Friendship Center each Wednesday.
Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center, a group dedicated to monitoring and exposing hate groups, just released its newest report it is calling A Year in Hate and Extremists.
And on the list, Florida-based group Moms for Liberty. Joel Lopez with our Scripps station WPTV on West Palm Beach explains the reasoning behind this new designation.
The SPLC has tracked over 1,200 groups that they call extremists. On that list, Moms for Liberty, which have been big advocates for parental rights in education.
Nobody from our organization is anti-anything.
The Florida-founded Moms for Liberty group.
We're pro-parental rights, we're pro-children, we're pro-making things better for students and families.
Has been branded as an anti-government extremist group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. So hearing that, what is your reaction?
I absolutely disagree with that.
Jennifer Pippin, the chairman of the Indian River chapter.
Maybe Southern Poverty Law Group doesn't understand what we do or how we're doing it, but to put us in with groups like the KKK and things like that, our parents, grandparents, and community members are not a hate group. We are not anti-government, and everything we're being labeled as this group is saying.
The SPLC is monitoring over 700 groups that they call anti-government, including Martin, Indian River, and Palm Beach County chapters of Moms for Liberty.
They really push out that theory through what we've seen: book bans, changes to the curriculum, attacks on LGBTQ acceptance in schools and in the community.
And is that what we've seen from Moms for Liberty?
That's what we've seen from Moms for Liberty.
The SPLC has been operating since the 90s and says this is the first time they're listing what they call anti-student inclusion groups. So what is your message to local school boards here in South Florida?
I think it's important to note that these groups are usually the most vocal and the most in your face, but they don't really speak for the majority of people.
Right now, Moms for Liberty has chapters in 45 states and have a national summit to discuss ways to continue their advocacy.
Just as much as they have the right to advocate for things that are important for them, we have the right to advocate for things that are important to us.
The Indian River chapter of Moms for Liberty tells me that they plan to continue going to school board meetings as well as challenging books and social studies curriculums. Back to you.
That was Joel Lopez reporting. Well, this Florida woman was arrested yesterday after Marion County deputies say she shot and killed her next-door neighbor on Friday following an ongoing feud. Marion County is in Central Florida, about an hour north of Orlando. 58-year-old Susan Lorenz is accused of shooting A.J. Owens because Owens' kids were playing in a field near Lorenz's house. Now, other parents in the neighborhood say a lot of kids play there, many of them black or mixed race, and that Lorenz would often call them racial slurs. Deputies say Owens went over to confront Lorenz, and it escalated when they say she shot Owens through the front door. Now, civil rights attorney Ben Crump is stepping in to help this family.
We are very grateful. We're thankful to Sheriff Woods for the arrest last night. Yeah. It brought great relief to Pamela Diaz and the family of A.J. Owens.
The Marion County Sheriff's Office says detectives were able to establish that Lorenz's actions were not justifiable under Florida's Stand Your Ground law. She is now expected to make her first appearance in court Thursday.
Opening statements underway in the trial of the retired sheriff's deputy who worked as a school resource officer during the Parkland school shooting 5 years ago. Scott Peterson faced wide criticism for his actions during the attack. Prosecutors say he failed to follow his active shooter training by staying outside of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in a covered position for about 45 minutes while not confronting the shooter who roamed the school and killed 17 people, including 14 students. Peterson has said he didn't go inside because he couldn't tell where the gunfire was coming from. The defense claims that Peterson is a scapegoat. A former Florida State football star is found not guilty on murder charges. A jury acquitted Travis Rudolph on all counts, including first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder from a shooting near his home in Palm Beach County. Rudolph's defense contended that 4 men attacked him at his home. While on the witness stand, Rudolph said the shooting was in self-defense, claiming that 2 guns were pointed at him. After leaving Florida State, he did play in the NFL for a year, and at 27 years of age now, he has not ruled out a return to football. We've also learned the identities of the 2 people who died yesterday in that mass shooting following a high school graduation ceremony in Richmond, Virginia. 18-year-old graduate Sean Jackson and his 36-year-old stepfather Renzo Smith, both killed in the attack, 5 others injured. Richmond police say the suspect, 19-year-old Amari Pollard, was arraigned today on 2 counts of second-degree murder and is being held without bail. Investigators say that he had an ongoing dispute with Jackson, that this was a targeted attack. The CDC says that Florida has the highest total number of drowning deaths in all 50 states.
This as the nation faces a lifeguard shortage. So what some Florida pools are now doing to address the concern.
Okay, lighter moment. One of Queen's best songs, One Vision. There's a line there. 1 man, 1 goal, 1 mission. Would the Everblades' 1 goal they scored tonight in Game 3 of the Kelly Cup Finals be enough?
And heading into tomorrow morning, heads up, some wet weather could slow down that morning commute. We'll talk more about the impacts of this round of rain and what to expect heading through the weekend next.
All right, with school almost out and the official start of summer around the corner, we want to highlight a pressing issue that we're seeing, not just here in Florida, but nationwide. There is a severe shortage of lifeguards in nearly every state right now.
This means a lot of city pools getting shut down across the nation. JJ Burton with our script station WFTS in Tampa dives into the issue, learning how local beaches and pools are trying to handle this and trying to figure out how to work on the busy season ahead.
Let's start with the stats. According to the Florida Department of Health, so far 40 people have drowned in Florida this year. Nearly half were children.
You know, the body of water is bigger than our kids, so we have to be extra cautious.
And according to the CDC, Florida has the highest total number of drowning deaths of all 50 states, with 11,200 people drowning since 2019. And those numbers come at a concerning time.
We're in the midst of a critical national lifeguard shortage. With over 309,000 parks and pools, we're going to see over half of those closed or reduce their hours.
And this is Wyatt Werniff. He's with the American Lifeguard Association. He fears the shortage will lead to even more drownings. It's a fear shared with officials in the Bay Area. And they've been working around the clock to fill any holes, including openings in Clearwater.
Yeah, lifeguards are a very important aspect of our beach and of beach tourism and safety.
In Clearwater, all beach lifeguards are full-time employees. Due to the shortage, they supplemented part-time lifeguards primarily at the pools, and some help out at the beaches when needed.
We need to make sure that we have enough that they can rotate safely.
City-run pools in Tampa and in Hillsborough County are fully staffed with lifeguards. Even so, they tell me,
it has been somewhat of a challenge.
Down in Sarasota, good news. All the pools will be open this year. However, due to the shortage, Lido Pool will only be open from Friday to Sunday. But in Manatee County, they are fully staffed at all beaches and pools, including the new Lincoln Aquatic Center.
It's been a great time. A lot of people have come out.
John Linksweiler is the Manatee County Aquatics captain. He says they've increased pay. Starting pay for new lifeguards is $18.40 an hour and $20 an hour for returning lifeguards. It's helped, he says.
I mean, it's all about safety. If it's not staffed, enough staff, that definitely can contribute to drowning.
The National Lifeguard Association says this national shortage will get even worse unless they find a way to turn lifeguarding into a long-term career, offering retirement pensions like the ones firefighters and law enforcement gets.
You have to understand that your chances of drowning in front of a lifeguard are 1 in 18 million. They're very necessary.
This summer, water safety experts say call ahead before going to a beach or pool to make sure there's a lifeguard on duty.
Game 3 for the Kelly Cup Finals as the Florida Everblades return home, and they scored only 1 goal tonight against Utah, and it was enough. Florida 1, Idaho 0. Now the Everblades lead the series 3-0, so they are 1 game away, 1 win away from capturing the Kelly Cup again. They won it last year. They will go to hoist the cup Friday night for Game 4 in Estero.
And you know, you led into this with some Queen references, so I'm going to throw some in here as we go to weather.
Okay, what you got for me?
They were under pressure.
Okay, 1.
Hopefully they'll be singing "We Are the Champions."
Oh, that's standard if
on
they win,
Friday.
right?
Yes. But the show must go on.
Yes.
And we should probably talk about weather now.
Yeah, well, the show that must go on clearly with the rain chance. We've been talking about that as well, too. And we saw them a lot higher last couple weekends. We're bringing Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Wall. Seems like might be pulling back a bit.
Exactly. So we're going to pull back those rain chances for the weekend. They're going to be pretty isolated, but not the case for tomorrow morning, friends. Scattered downpours are expected. Look at that little bump right there into the scattered range from 4 o'clock onward through that morning commute. You could be affected by those developing downpours. But for now, radar is on the quiet side. Here's a live look outside from the Luminary Hotel in downtown Fort Myers. Partly to mostly cloudy skies expected overnight tonight. And we do have a couple of little rain showers just off of coastal Charlotte County. But for the most part, conditions are nice and quiet here across southwest Florida. So let's zoom in now to Gasparilla, Boca Grande, stretching up toward Placida, Rotunda West. This is where obviously we have those showers moving on shore, really focused on the Cape Hayes Peninsula. Gradually, they're going to be crossing over Charlotte Harbor and then up toward Punta Gorda Isles and into Punta Gorda if it holds itself together, but thankfully not producing much in the way of lightning. And again, this is generally just light to moderate rainfall as it continues to work its way off the Gulf. That's going to be the case again tomorrow morning, dark and early, again starting right around 4 a.m., continuing through that morning commute as those storms build on shore. It's a muggy night. We're at 81 degrees. Look at this. Dew point, the measure of moisture in the air, in the lower 70s. Even at this hour, it's still feeling more like 86. Winds are quite light, nearly calm out of the west at 2 miles per hour. So overnight, for the next couple of hours, things are going to be pretty quiet with the exception of an isolated shower or two like we're seeing for the Cape Hayes Peninsula. But notice this right here at 4 o'clock. That's when those isolated storms will begin to develop, becoming more scattered, more numerous right around 7 o'clock as more of us start to hit the roadways. So basically, with that onshore flow, that's going to keep those scattered storms in the mix through the morning time frame. But in theory, later in the day, that'll kick the concentration a little further inland. So right here at 3 o'clock, best chance for those storms staying away from the coastline. So this is kind of a switch up where I might suggest instead of doing activities in the morning, you might want to choose the afternoon. That said, of course, you're going to be up against the heat and humidity. Again, can't rule out an isolated afternoon or evening storm, just that lower chance later in the day. Then as we look ahead to your Friday hour by hour right here at 7 a.m., partly cloudy skies heading into the afternoon. Those showers and storms very hit and miss. That's why we're pulling back those rain chances for your Friday afternoon and evening to just 30%, and that probability primarily being farther inland. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, showers few and far between. But for tonight, early tomorrow morning, thunderstorms developing after 4 a.m., continuing through that morning commute. Mainly morning showers and storms expected. Fewer storms for the afternoon. We'll head up toward a high around 90 for the afternoon, but factor in that humidity. It's going to be feeling more like 95. Just a 30% rain chance in the mix Friday into Saturday, then pulling it back to just 20% Sunday heading into Monday.
All right, ahead on Fox 4 News at 11, a section of State Road 31 in Fort Myers Shores is still closed tonight after crews struck a gas line. How long officials say it could be until the road opens back up.
Plus, police are still searching for a suspect from a carjacking in Fort Myers and why investigators believe the attack was planned.
And many in Naples enjoy dining outside, soaking in the warm weather, but that could change if there are less seats. Details on the new rules City Council is now proposing.
And we'll get you all set for Thursday, Friday, and the days beyond for the weekend as we take a look from our tower cam overlooking Pine Island Road in Cape Coral. Get you all set for the days ahead from Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls.
It's dry now, but you're gonna want your umbrella in the morning. Katie will explain why coming up.